For someone with the name GodzillaMendoza, I sure don't talk about Godzilla often, and when I do, the guy who edits the best of videos fast forwards through it. The Godzilla anime. How was that? Not great. Okay, So people are left relatively unclear about my thoughts and feelings on the character. But the truth is, I love Godzilla! He's so versatile as a character, and his stories can range from very dark allegorical horror films about real-world tragedies Japan has dealt with, to family-friendly comedy films with a silly tone, to action-heavy films that turn him into a sort of enormous superhero, and then something that's all of the above somehow. Despite being a really simple character with very little personality beyond smash and fight stuff, you can do a surprisingly diverse range of stories with him, and with a roster of enemies and allies as legendarily huge as Godzilla, you'd think it'd be pretty easy to make games about these titans clashing, and yet, it seemed to be kind of awkward in execution for the longest time. People far more prolific and talented than myself have covered the early era of Godzilla games, but left that on a note of, well, the 3D games are probably better. But like, are they? And well, I guess we'll answer that question today by taking a look back at a handful of virtual Colossus bar fight simulators. It's nice and cathartic to sit back and watch society break down and mass chaos and panic happen because of something silly like a giant lizard that fights robots instead of like something terrifyingly real. And it goes without saying you should protect yourself and stay at home as much as you can right now, but if you're like me, you find yourself on the internet more than ever in these times, and that can be a dangerous place too. That's why I'm proud to announce that this video is brought to you by our gracious sponsor, NordVPN. Using NordVPN, you can keep yourself safe from any stray digital kaiju that may come ashore in your explorations online while researching an inordinate amount of facts about the JFK conspiracy theories, or which Spider-Man runs will most effectively help you win an argument on Twitter. No judgments here, we all use the internet to argue and look up crazy stuff. And now you can be safe from viruses, block intrusive ads, and double encrypt your own data so the aliens can't steal your 3 terabytes of cat pictures. Being that there's more downtime than ever now and we're all stuck inside, you're also assuredly looking for entertainment wherever you can get it. Well, NordVPN can help you access geographically restricted servers so you can get games earlier, check out a selection of streaming platforms in different regions for a whole new set of shows. Yo, they have Ninja Turtles on Filipino Netflix and not in the US? Well, thanks, Nord, I needed my fix. No wonder they're the top-rated VPN of 2019. Especially compared to my own software, Xavier's Virus Puncher is coming in at about 789th place. Nord has apps that can pretty much work on any modern device, faster connection speeds, handy Google Chrome plugins, and no data logging to keep your internet usage safe and private. With a 30-day money-back guarantee, it's a no-brainer to try it out, and you can help support me and my channel by using the promo code NordVPN.com/GodzillaMendoza and getting a 70% discount while you're at it. Give it a shot today, and while you do that, I'll be battling a few monsters in cyberspace on my own in Godzilla, War of the Gaming, Save the Earth Monsters All-Out Attack. Godzilla trademark Save the Earth copyright on PS2, all rights reserved, is an arcade-style fighting game with a unique challenge ladder based on each playable monster, mini challenges in between fights, a versus mode, and a survival mode. It's developed by Pipeworks Software, now renamed Pipeworks Studios, and is a sequel to their previous game, Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. I'm assuming it's not much different from Destroy All Monsters, but I can't play that one because it's like not available on any of the consoles I record with, and also getting things in the mail like an ancient PS2 game is somewhat impossible right now. But anyway, Save the Earth. I dig the combat for the most part, as the characters feel clunky and slow enough to get some sense of their scale and strength. But when they move too quickly, they don't feel like kaiju, they feel more like normal-sized monsters and robots fighting in a small city. You know, something Pacific Rim Uprising didn't understand, and that movie sucks ass and killed the franchise, and they killed off the only likable character. Go fuck yourself. There's a lot of moves that really throw off that sense of scale. Like Godzilla doing this silly-ass roll to get out of trouble when he's been knocked down. I kinda like to imagine how much destruction that would cause if he ever really did that. The game's plot is a pretty utilitarian single cutscene thing where Kronika from Mortal Kombat says she wants Godzilla's DNA to do some villainy things and also explain pickups in-game. It feels like a single cutscene intro you'd get before an arcade rail shooter at the movie theater that you play with your friends. God, I miss going outside. There's a lot of quirky and strange little things about this game that I like. Like this funny animation of Godzilla hurting his hand, the legal disclaimer health bars, and the fact that this Godzilla is verbally referred to as Godzilla 2001 by characters in the game. For some reason the Atari logo is one of the in-game power-ups too. The enemy AI feels a little oblivious and simple because you can beat this game very quickly with no deaths on like your first try. I don't know, it's hard to give more in-depth criticism of this game. It's so simple and basic. It does just about everything it needs to as this type of game. You know, like, but nothing more than that. If anything, I just wish it had more of a story than, like, nothing at all. A unique ending for each character would be nice. Maybe a wider variety of arenas, since a lot of them are very samey cityscapes. I do think the roster is pretty cool, though. You got 90s Godzilla, 2000s Godzilla, even though they're barely different, Space Godzilla, Mecha Godzillas, not Ultraman, but basically Ultraman, Bug Guy with weird weapon hands, other Bug Guy with weird weapon hands, Baby Mothra, Lady Mothra, Meanie Mothra, that guy that tried to eat Godzilla like a fucking boa constrictor, oh god, that traumatized me as a kid, the Destroyer, and nobody's favorite monsters, Anguirus and Baragon. And the rest. I've never really made Godzilla content before, so I wonder if it has a really obnoxiously pedantic fan base that don't understand satire, so they're going to get mad at me for clearly, intentionally saying a character's name wrong as a joke. Well, see, his name is Megalon, get it right, you're a fake fan and a virgin! I like how, in this scenario, my knowledge of Godzilla characters' names is tied to my ability to have sex, like, knowing more about Godzilla would somehow mean I can get laid, as opposed to the other way around, like in real life. This was the first Godzilla game I ever played, and I have quite a few fond memories of playing it with my dad as a kid. It's pretty simple and basic, with a few strange eccentricities, what the fuck kind of word is that, that make it unique, but it's no underrated hidden gem classic. If anything, this feels a little unpolished and unfinished, which is especially disappointing considering it's the sequel. It makes me wonder how stripped down and basic Destroy All Monsters must be. Regardless, it's not terrible, just not very deep, and it might be a fun time waster to play with your friends while you're stuck inside. Play it if you can find a copy for like $5. Scooby-Doo 2, Godzilla Unleashed. More of the same, better graphically, worse functionally. They improve the textures in this game, but now it slows down considerably when there's more than one enemy fighter on the map. I know it's not some we slowed down the frame rate to make Godzilla feel larger kind of thing, because I've seen it speed up and slow down in real time based on what's happening in the fight. And it's generally not as bad when there's only one opponent. I feel kind of like an idiot for asking for a story with the last one because I forgot something. It would have been a kaiju movie story. You know, boring, elongated scenes of humans sitting around talking at desks about what's going on in the world. You, as the audience member, completely checking out until Godzilla comes back and assures you that explosions will indeed happen at some point. Some of these cutscenes last 4 whole minutes and say absolutely nothing of value. The story this time around is that a mysterious crystal thingy from space has crash-landed on Earth and is causing the weather to act like how it will if you don't start recycling. Godzilla goes on an erratic global adventure to fight monster after monster and smash crystals. All for the reveal that the crystals are being generated by the final boss, Space Godzilla. So like, a random fighter from the previous game is now a final boss despite not being much tougher than he was before. That's some Armageddon Blaze shit. Look, if you want me to make more of those videos, then watch the previous 2. Once they hit 100k, I'll do another one, okay? Alright, please? I worked hard on them. Oh, I can't reenact that scene from that movie. Or that similar scene from that other movie. Witnesses say they also identified Eric Lencher at the scene, who hasn't been cited since his controversial intervention at the Kennedy assassination. The AI is now even dimmer than before and sometimes forgets to even fight you. Obsidious doesn't give a fuck about this fight. I hit him and he just walks away. Come on, dude. Just, like, fight me, please. Please. Fight me. I'm Godzilla. I washed my hands first, please. And this boss fight with this stupid drill rocket with ice lasers is so tedious that I couldn't beat it in time before the clock ran out. Does it matter? Nope. Game still goes on regardless. A lot of these rounds end for no reason at all. You can just walk around and, like, try to get the busted AI senpai to notice you for 3 minutes, and then it'll randomly decide you won. And even if you didn't win, you still progress anyway. Sometimes I just let the enemies fight each other while I sit back and watch. Godzilla, passive observer. Something that's becoming really clear in both of these games is how annoyingly stiff the combat feels. And not in like a I'm a 10,000 ton gigantic monster stiff, in like a this is bad gameplay stiff. There's not a lot of great feedback in combat to make you feel like you're actually doing damage. If I didn't have a health bar indicating that any of this fighting mattered, I wouldn't have any sense that I'm winning. Did they at least add anything new to this one to justify the 3-year development time? Well, we have a whole slew of new characters like Obsidious. Apparently the Wii version had more characters, but I can't record that, and I don't have a Wii anymore, so... Man, this is all Godzilla's got going for him in games? Are there any good kaiju fighters on the PS2? That's not Godzilla. But it's close enough that I can close my eyes and pretend. Rampage, War on Man. If I didn't bundle this in with something more algorithmically marketable, I'd never have a chance to talk about it, but this game's sick! This game needs to stay at home for 14 days! This game's gotta check in at its shift at Burger King because staying home for 2 weeks isn't financially viable right now with the rent this high! This game's so sick it's— Wow, I really hope these jokes are dated and not funny in like a year, cause like... If they're still relevant, we have some problems. War of the Monsters is the somehow superior great value brand of monster action brawler with a timeless 50s B-movie aesthetic, and just enough story and cutscenes to understand shit, but not so much that you're bored and want to sleep only to be awoken by buildings tumbling down and Quicksilver screaming. Aliens invade Earth! That's bad. But we defeat them with the power of Tesla coils. That's good. But the power source from the alien ships leaks into the environment and creates giant monsters. That's bad. But then we build giant robots to fight them. That's good. But the robots go rogue, so they're just as violent as the monsters. That's bad. But then they fight. That's radical. So the gameplay is a nice change of pace because it's a lot less stiff and clunky than Pipeworks Godzilla, which may be partially helped by the monsters being a bit smaller than your typical kaiju. More like the size of the Rampage monsters in Dwayne Johnson versus the Chicago Mafia, or whatever that movie. I don't have the expectation of these guys being bigger because they're all original characters, quote unquote, and can be whatever size the game wants. I kind of wish this game got a re-release. Wait, this game got a PS4 re-release? Well, damn, that's more than worth $10. I'm not even finished with the review and I'll tell you to go get it. It's awesome. Weirdly enough, the stylized, almost cartoony characters and environments make the visuals pretty timeless. This still looks good even if it came out in 2003. It came out before Save the Earth and Godzilla Unleashed, and it looks and plays better than both somehow. The gameplay has some of the standard clunkiness expected from a PS2 game, but still feels pretty responsive once you get used to it. You're never struggling to do basic things like, you know, jumping. Although the climbing mechanic for buildings is a little hard to do in the heat of combat and can be frustrating at times, but then you can just play as a character who jumps higher or flies to get on rooftops. You gotta love how it doesn't take 10 seconds to charge up a projectile attack, and unlike Godzilla games, you actually get a sense that you're doing damage to your opponent, and it doesn't feel like you're smacking your hands against a brick wall. The enemy AI is also smart enough to challenge you, but not so smart it's unfair. When their health is low, they can use the same health and energy pickups you can, and will actively seek them out. This forces you to strategize and try to grab up all of that stuff yourself before they can. Oh shit, it's fucking Cygor!
It's short for cybernetic gorilla.
In the combat ladder, this disagreement of the creatures actually has unique boss fights that you can't take on in the versus mode. And some nice little cutscenes to set up each fight and give you some context about what the enemy is going to be, without having any boring, overlong dialogue. Look, here's a robot and some tanks. I can assume this guy is with the military and wants to knock my monster teeth out. Cool, let's fight. This nuclear generator blew up and now this sugar-free Biollante has risen from the ashes to get punched repeatedly. You see how simple that is, Godzilla Unleashed, with your fucking 4 minutes of...
That's not fair.
Of this. And hey, you can play with 4 characters and the game doesn't turn into Dread 2. I really dig the character designs in this game, and the roster has a pretty diverse set of monstros and robots to smash each other with. I think it's fun that they have an American robot and a Japanese one that both feel really like something from either country's fiction. My favorite character has to be Kinetoclops, the electric eyeball guy who can do sick b-ball moves. Hell, I'd like some action figures of these guys if those existed. I love how each character you beat the game with gets a special cutscene to explain their origin. If you have $10 and want a good time, get War of the Monsters. It's great from top to bottom. It's about as short as these other games, probably shorter even, but it has great replay value in trying to master every character and getting all the unique cutscenes and character outfits. Alright, I offset all the negativity with something positive. Let's keep that vibe going forward with our last game on the list. Okay, think positive thoughts. Godzilla! Released in 2015 after the resurrection of the Godzilla franchise with the 2014 American reboot, this game is a tribute to Godzilla's long legacy and includes almost all of his foes, as well as arguably his 3 most iconic designs by that point. 2014 Godzilla is even a DLC that you can't get anymore, because they took the entire game off the marketplace. Oh. That's okay, you can still unlock him by getting to level 25 in the game's main campaign, called God of Destruction Mode. This is the first game on our list that isn't a traditional 3D brawler and is more about slowly but surely waddling towards enormous generators, then methodically punching them while a very slow energy shield powers up to slowly knock you down so you can slowly get back up to fight again. Initially, I liked how large and lumbering Godzilla feels to control in this game. You definitely get a sense of the weight he's throwing around by having to turn his body with R1 and L1 buttons. It feels like driving a tank almost. But at the same time, it can get a little bit frustrating when you need to get across the map in a hurry because there are time limits. That's good design for a game where you're a big slow thing that can't walk fast. Oh, would you look at that! You can't unlock the final 4 missions of the campaign without completing a very specific set of side tasks along the way. That's, strange, but okay. Apparently, you can unlock levels 21 through 24 by standing at these data collection point things, and you need to get 50% of them in every level. Why not 100%, you ask? Well, just to be different. What about unlocking other playable characters? Well, you can unlock them by facing them in the story mode, but sometimes they spawn kind of randomly. Like in the first level, you can fight Jet Jaguar by getting 50 to 59% of the total structures damaged and then breaking the generator to complete the level. Then, instead of the level ending, he'll spawn in for an optional boss fight, and the game gave you no indication of how to unlock that, and I had to look at the strategy guide online to even know any of this. Also, you may have noticed you can only unlock levels 21 through 24, while 25 remains locked up type. That's because in addition to everything else you need to do, like getting 50% of the data collection points, 100% of the destruction levels, participating in strange summoning rituals to get boss fights to happen, you also need to have grown to 100 meters in height. You start the game at 50 meters tall, and Godzilla gets taller the more destruction you cause, but you can't simply just smash all the buildings, you have to smash them very quickly to get your rage multiplier to boost your growth score. But as said earlier, you can't walk very quickly, so it's difficult to smash everything in the map in a timely manner while also destroying 3 generators per map, fighting the random boss spawns, getting 50% of all the data collection points, and completing side objectives like destroying 6 trucks in a helicopter. Fuck! I just wanted to beat the game! Why did they make it like this? Why do basic things like unlocking characters and getting to the final levels of the game need to be played like a goddamn puzzle for an obscure Easter egg? It shouldn't be this obtuse and difficult to do! How hard is it to just put me in an arena, say go kill that monster over there, and let me progress once that's done? Then just do that 25 times! Why do I need to waddle these annoying-ass generators? Why do I need to collect 50% of data on Godzilla for the stupid military to fight me? The goal is to smash stuff as Godzilla. Why do I need to make it easier for the military to fight me? Isn't that counterintuitive to the whole goal of being Godzilla? Why is it so hard to get Godzilla right in a 3D game? I don't think I'm asking for a lot when I want the game to have some actual content in it, decent performance that allows it to be playable, and feel like a goddamn game instead of an elaborate escape room where you have cinder blocks tied to your ankles and occasionally someone in a silly costume will walk in and push you over repeatedly. Why is it that War of the Monsters is the only thing even remotely close to a proper monster brawler, and it's some legally distinct off-brand copycat? The King of Kaiju deserves better than that, man! Imagine a modern game where you have this huge roster of characters to play with, a more polished version of like this one's gameplay, and a level structure of unique bosses like War of the Monsters. I could take it or leave it, but it would even be cool to have a few story segments where you play as a human running around in the city trying to survive, while a massive giant monster battle happens right on top of you. That way you could get a real sense of the scale and scope of these battles. Something I feel like all of these games brush up against but never really get right is the sense of scale. Godzilla himself in these games always feels like a regular-sized character interacting with small objects and environments. But a game should be more immersive than that. If it was done right, you can feel his presence in a way you never could in a movie. You don't want to feel like an actor in a rubber Godzilla suit waddling through a big plastic set. You want to feel like a titanic monster carving a path through immensely large structures. And so far, that's been one of the biggest disappointments of all the Godzilla games. I have faith though, I think they'll get it right eventually. Just needs to take a few cues from what they got right and wrong in the past and push forward. I mean, stranger things have happened. I still remember a time when someone said we'd never get a good Batman game. Now we have like 2.5 of them. So, the king of the war of the Revenge of the Monsters will have his day in the sun too. We've been slowly walking towards it for a long time now.